Mountains cannot be surmounted except by winding paths. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe.
The marvelous richness of human experience would lose something of rewarding joy if there were no limitations to overcome. The hilltop hour would not be half so wonderful if there were no dark valleys to traverse. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, ambition inspired, and success achieved. Helen Keller. The greatness comes not when things go always good for you, but the greatness comes when you're really tested, when you take some knocks, some disappointments, when sadness comes, because only if you've been in the deepest valley can you ever know how magnificent it is to be on the highest mountain. Richard M. Nixon. Driven by fear, men take to many a refuge in mountains, forests, parks, sacred groves and shrines, but these are not a secure kind of refuge. By taking to this sort of refuge, one is not released from suffering. He who has gone to Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha for refuge, though, this is a secure refuge. This is the ultimate refuge. By taking to this refuge, one is indeed released from all suffering. Buddhism from the Dhammapada. This that irks thy sense life, thrilling to the elements, bringing thee heat and cold, sorrows and joys, 'tis brief and mutable. Bear with it. The soul which is not moved, the soul that with a strong and constant calm takes sorrow and takes joy indifferently, lives in the life undying. Hinduism from the Bhagavad Gita.
The gem cannot be polished without friction, nor man perfected without trials. Confucius.
Life's challenges. Rob is the kind of guy you love to hate. He is always in a good mood and always has something positive to say. When someone would ask him how he was doing, he would reply, "If I were any better, I would be twins." He was a natural motivator. If an employee was having a bad day, Rob was there telling the employee how to look on the positive side of the situation. Seeing this style really made me curious, so one day I went up to Rob and asked him, "I don't get it. You can't be a positive person all of the time. How do you do it?" Rob replied, "Each morning I wake up and say to myself, you have two choices today. You can choose to be in a good mood, or you can choose to be in a bad mood. I choose to be in a good mood. Each time something bad happens, I can choose to be a victim, or I can choose to learn from it. I choose to learn from it. Every time someone comes to me complaining, I can choose to accept their complaining, or I can point out the positive side of life. I choose the positive side of life." "Yeah, right. It's not that easy," I protested. "Yes, it is," Rob said. "Life is all about choices. When you cut away all the junk, every situation is a choice. You choose how you react to situations. You choose how people affect your mood. You choose to be in a good mood or bad mood. The bottom line, it's your choice how you live your life. I reflected on what Rob said. Soon thereafter, I left the tower industry to start my own business. We lost touch, but I often thought about him when I made a choice about life instead of reacting to it. Several years later, I heard that Rob was involved in a serious accident, falling some 60 feet from a communications tower. After 18 hours of surgery and weeks of intensive care, Rob was released from the hospital with rods placed in his back. I saw Rob about 6 months after the accident. When I asked him how he was, he replied, "If I were any better, I'd be twins. Want to see my scars?" I declined to see his wounds, but I did ask him what had gone through his mind as the accident took place. "The first thing that went through my mind was the well-being of my soon-to-be-born daughter," Rob replied. "Then, as I lay on the ground, I remembered that I had two choices. I could choose to live, or I could choose to die. I chose to live." "Weren't you scared? Did you lose consciousness?" I asked. Rob continued, "The paramedics were great. They kept telling me I was going to be fine. But when they wheeled me into the ER and I saw the expressions on the faces of the doctors and nurses, I got really scared. In their eyes, I read, 'He's a dead man.' I knew I needed to take action." "What did you do?" I asked. "Well, there was a big burly nurse shouting questions at me," said Rob. "She asked if I was allergic to anything. 'Yes,' I replied. The doctors and nurses stopped working as they waited for my reply. I took a deep breath and yelled, 'Gravity.' Over their laughter, I told them, 'I am choosing to live. Operate on me as if I am alive, not dead.' Rob lived, thanks to the skill of his doctors, but also because of his amazing attitude. I learned from him that every day we have the choice to live fully. Attitude, after all, is everything. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow has troubles of its own. After all, today is the tomorrow you worried about yesterday. Enjoy each day, each breath, and mostly each and every friend." Anonymous. "We will surely prove you by afflicting you in some measure with fear and hunger and decrease of wealth and loss of lives and scarcity of fruits. Those who patiently persevere will truly receive a reward without measure. On no soul do we place a burden greater than it can bear." Islam from the Quran. "O Son of Man, For everything there is a sign. The sign of love is fortitude under my decree and patience under my trials. If adversity befall thee not in my path, how canst thou walk in the ways of them that are content with my pleasure? If trials afflict thee not in thy longing to meet me, how wilt thou attain the light and thy love for my beauty? My calamity is my providence. Outwardly it is fire and vengeance, but inwardly it is light and mercy. Hasten thereunto, that thou mayest become an eternal light and an immortal spirit. This is my command unto thee. Do thou observe it. Baha'u'llah. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and attend them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture, still treat each guest honorable. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought the same, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each guest has been sent as a guide from beyond. Jalaluddin Rumi. The darkness of this gloomy night will pass away. Again, the sun of reality will dawn from the horizon of the hearts. Have patience. Wait, but do not sit idle. Work while you are waiting. Smile while you are wearied with monotony. Be firm while everything around you is being shaken. Be joyous while the ugly face of despair grins at you. Speak aloud while the malevolent forces of the nether world try to crush your mind. Be valiant and courageous while men all around you are cringing with fear and cowardice. Abdul Baha. Obstacles are like wild animals. They are cowards, but they will bluff you if they can. If they see you are afraid of them, they are liable to spring upon you. But if you look them squarely in the eye, they will slink out of sight.
The very greatest things, great thoughts, discoveries, inventions, have usually been nurtured in hardship, often pondered over in sorrow, and at length established with difficulty. Samuel smiles.
I am responsible. Although I may not be able to prevent the worst from happening, I am responsible for my attitude toward the inevitable misfortunes that darken life. Bad things do happen. How I respond to them defines my character and the quality of my life. I can choose to sit in perpetual sadness, immobilized by the gravity of my loss, or I can choose to rise from the pain and treasure the most precious gift I have, life itself. Walter Anderson, from the 7 Steps to Self-Fulfillment. Go to the end of the path until you get to the gate. Go through the gate and head straight out towards the horizon. Keep going towards the horizon. Sit down and have a rest every now and again, but keep on going. Just keep on with it. Keep on going as far as you can. That's how you get there. Michael Lunig, Short Notes from the Long History of Happiness.
Impossibilities are merely things which we have not yet learned. Charles W. Chestnut. The true way to soften one's troubles is to solace those of others. Madame de Maintenon. There are no great people in this world, only great challenges which ordinary people rise to meet. William Frederick Halsey, Jr. When everything seems to be going against you, remember that the airplane takes off against the wind, not with it. Henry Ford. Should prosperity befall thee, rejoice not, and should abasement come upon thee, grieve not, for both shall pass away and be no more. Baha'u'llah. Never measure the height of a mountain until you have reached the top. Then you will see how low it was. Dag Hammarskjöld.